Hey guys, welcome to another Molly lineup guide. Today we'll be doing Breeze. If you guys prefer picture format, these lineups are in a doc, which I will link below. Let's get it. Let's start out here on A site. Let's go from the farthest right save plant to the farthest left plant. So the first plant would be obviously the farthest right save plant. There are 3 lineup spots for that. First lineup was actually found by zehb, where you line up with the middle part of this pillar and you walk against the wall, and then you line up the tip of your Molly icon to the bottom left corner of this vent opening, like this, and then you shoot it.
Molly.
It should clear this edge and land perfectly on the spike. Yep, it's like that. Perfect. And then the next one is actually found by Bajhomas, also in the Discord community, where you line up with the corner between this rock and this yellow mine, and then you line up the left side of the line between Molly icon and smoke icon to this little corner right here, okay? Little corner of this roof support. All right. So the left side of that line between Molly icon and smoke icon to that little corner, okay? Shoot it. To land perfectly on the bomb, like that. All right, next up would be a fancy trick shotty kind of one, which I found, and you lined up with the right side of this panel, far right side of this panel over here. You walk against the wall, and then you lined up the top of the squiggly of the left hut line to the top corner of this little texture on the wall here on the ceiling, just like this, and make sure the far right line of the left hut line touches the left side of this dot as well. So just like this, you can see it touches the left side of the dot, and then it goes to the top corner here. Shoot it, and it should bounce on the ceiling, bounce on that thing, and land perfectly for the bomb. So if you plant it more towards here, then it'll work perfectly. Next up would be planted on this side of the right pyramid over here. And there are about 5 lineups so far for that. First lineup would again be this one found by zehb, and you lined up yourself with the middle of the pillar, and then you lined up the tip of your Molly icon to the right side of this vent over here, this corner. Or you can also use the top squiggly of the left hut line as a reference and line up with the bottom of this vine here. Either one works, like this. Then you shoot it. It should land perfectly. That. Okay, next up would be one also found by Bajhomas.
Right here.
So you lined up yourself, you wedge yourself in this corner between the yellow mine and the rock, and then you use this corner as reference, the right side of this opening of the sheet metal corner as a reference, and you line up the top left of the mouse button indicator to that opening, and this one will bounce a little slower and lands perfectly onto the bomb here. So just depending on your time, right, giving you more time to rotate, but also at the same spot here, I found a lineup for a faster landing. So this one is, you wedge yourself in this corner, you lined up the left side of the line between Molly icon and smoke icon to this little corner here, so just like this. Shoot it. It bounce really quick and land on the spike here. Okay, next up would be a lineup actually Paris found, and it will just be on this side of the corner here between the rock and the box here. You wedge yourself in a corner, you just walk into it until you can't walk again, and then you lined up the top dot of above the mouse button indicator to about this to the left of this vine here, this leaf. It's like this. Line up the top dot to that left side of that leaf. Shoot it. Bounce. Land about right there. It covers a little corner here, so this one would be for a farther left plant, but it works. Okay, and last but not least would be this lineup. This one found by Emp, is where you lined up yourself with the second dot right here in Chute, and then you walk towards the wall, and then you line up the top again, the top dot of the mouse button indicator to about the bottom of the shadow here, just like this. Shoot it. To land perfectly for this plant. So next up would be more of a towards the middle kind of plant. It's actually more towards the left side of the right pyramid corner plant kind of thing. So currently I only found one lineup so far for that plant, where you line up with the middle of this pillar again, and then you line up the top right of the left hut line to this little corner of the roof support on the right side of the rope here, the first one. So just that line to that corner like this. Shoot it. And it should bounce and land perfectly for this plant over here. Next plant would be more for the left pyramid plant right here in the middle. And there are so far 4 lineups that we have found. First one would be right here, where you line up with the middle of this pillar. And this one is the one that bounces faster. And so you line up at the top squiggly of the left side of the HUD line between with this corner right here of the rope and the wood, okay? Just right before it hits metal. Line up the tip of that squiggly to that little corner between the rope and the wood. Shoot it. Land really quickly. Okay. Next up is at the same spot here. Walk towards it. And then this time you line up the tip of your molly icon to the left corner opening of this little arch here. And this one actually lands slightly slower. Molly! For a different kind of timing play here. Bounce on this roof. Bounce on that edge slope. Lands perfectly on the bottom. Alright. And next up would be right here. From here in Chute and Hall, where you line up with, this one's actually found by Emp, and then you line up yourself with this little edge of the darker edge here, and then you walk towards the wall, and then you line up the top dot of the mouse button indicator with this shadowy part again. Same idea, like this. Shoot it. Should land perfectly for this plant. All right, another lineup is from mid, where you align yourself up with the box, just right in the middle with the box and the stone stacks here. Walk towards it, and then you lined up the left line of the mouse button indicator to this little corner right here, just like this. You can see how I lined up with that corner between a tarp and this little line. Shoot it. Should bounce and lands perfectly for this plant. Last but not least, plant spot here. For some reason you're able to pull it off. If you plant it to the left side of this pyramid, about at that one little line there, you can go back out here. Again, you line yourself up with the middle of this pillar, walk against the pillar, and then this time you line up with the first roof support on the left side of the rope here. You lined up with the top right corner. Same thing, you line up with the most right part of the left hut line to that top right corner there. Pop it. And it should land perfectly for this corner plant right here. As for defender side, we found a lineup where you wedge yourself in the corner here, and this will stop enemies from rotating onto site. It will molly a main, where you lined up the tip of your molly icon with this line right here. So this line on the ship, you just line up the tip of your molly icon just in the bottom of that line. You can barely see it, and then the inverse triangle to the top part of that. Shoot it. It should bounce and lands perfectly in a main. So that's it for A side. Let's move on to B side.
Got the spike.
Here on B side, there's pretty much only one default plant spot where you are safe from both mid and CT, which would be right here.
Spike dropped.
And there are so many lineup spots for this. Let's start with it. First one will be from right here, where you line up with the left side of the metal bar, of the third metal bar, over here. Line up with the left side of it. And then you line up the right line of the mouse button indicator to this little corner here. Shoot it. And it should land perfectly on the spike. Detonate instantly. Alright, next up would be from painting over here. You wedge yourself in the corner of the cage and the wall here. You line up the tip of your molly icon to the middle part of this leaf here. Just like this, just in the middle.
Molly.
Shoot it. It should bounce on top and then perfectly on the spike. Okay. Same spot. There's another lineup where you lined up, which is a little less trick shotty. You line up the top dot of the smoke icon to this little opening on the cannon. Like this.
Molly.
Shoot it. Bounce and lands perfectly for the spike. Going back to the same area here, by the base of the cannon. So you were doing it right there. Right now we do it here. Wedge yourself in this corner and line up the bottom left of the left HUD line to the top right corner of this brick here. Just like this.
Molly.
Shoot it. And this one will land a little bit farther to the left. So maybe if you plant a little more over here,
Plant the spike.
that would work. Alright. Next one, same spot. But this time you move a little bit to the right here. You wedge yourself in this corner between the cannon and the cannon base. And then you lined up the squiggly to the cannon right here. Alright, the left HUD line squiggly to the cannon. Just like this. The corner should fit perfectly to the cannon, to the middle part.
Molly.
The opening of the cannon. It lands perfectly on the bomb. Another lineup here, more from spawn, is right here by this broken wooden plank. So you line up with the top part of the wooden plank, which also happens to line up with this line right here. So you walk into the wall, and then you line up the right side of the mouse button indicator line to this leaf right here. Just about the middle of the leaf. Oh, see the line? So put it right in the middle. Shoot it.
Molly.
Bounce and land perfectly for this plant. Next up is here from mid. So let's start out with the slower landing one, which is also safer. And you line yourself up with the second plank on this wooden box here by elbow. This is elbow, right? Okay. And then you line up the right side of the left HUD line to this corner over here. This.
Molly.
Shoot it. Bounce and bounce. Just like that. Same spot, but this time you move a little bit to the right. So you line yourself up with the very edge of these double box. Walk against the double box. And then this time you line up the top squiggly with the bottom part of this little white marking on the wall. And then also you can also use the little corner and line it up with down here, I believe. Let's try it. Okay, it's this one. So you lined up the little corner with down here. It's just like this. You can see. Little corner, line up to that corner, and then that top squiggly line up to the bottom of the white marking. Shoot it. And this one actually lands a lot faster because it hits the side of the wall and then lands after that. Like that. Okay, next up would be from here on top of barrels. This one's actually found by Paris. And what happened is, but I modified it. Found by Paris, but I modified it. So you line up the squiggly with this top corner right here, I believe it's like this, top left squiggly to that, and then you shoot it.
Molly.
And this one also lands perfectly for the bomb. Okay. Next up, right here, you line up with the middle of this stone stack right here. Walk towards it, and then you line up the right side of the left hut line to the bottom corner. Actually, you line up the squiggly to that corner, the top of the squiggly to that corner, just like that.
Molly.
With that little window thing, I guess. Good. And perfectly for the bomb. Last but not least, the most basic lineup here from window. Also, you know, it's good to know. In order to hit that default plant spot, you gotta aim all the way above the vine at the metal area over here. So in order to hit that, you can always just stand here and jiggle this spot, and then just shoot your molly right up the vine here, and it will land perfectly for this plant. Let's move on to defender lineup.
Right here.
Stopping enemies from coming into B main. So this lineup, which stops defender from coming into B site, this lineup is found by Paris, is
right here.
If you're rotating over from A, you line yourself up with this corner between the box and the wall, and then you count the third brick down right here. You line up with this little corner here, line up the top left corner of the mouse button indicator to that little corner, bottom right corner of the brick here, third brick, all right, and you shoot it.
Molly.
You bounce and land into B main, covering them from coming in, so they're forced to take damage when they come in. So that's it for all the lineup spots for Breeze. Hope these lineups will help you better play Brimstone and clutch some rounds. Since this map is so new, I don't yet have any lineup highlights. I'll have to make another video compilation with my lineup clutches. Hope to catch some of you live on stream watching me pull these off. Peace.